Everybody dance with me. Come on. That's it.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me, akaRadioRed in the house. Shout out to our engineer, Jordan at Voice America, who helps me with my 10 down countdown. There we go. It's Read My Lips Day, Monday afternoon. Where else would Radio Red be? Nowhere else. I have three wonderful guests. I met them, one a couple of years ago, but all three of them on a recent edition, I'll say that, of the National Publicity Summit, where I book about 125 guests a year. Why? Because they're interesting and they're creative, and they come from all walks of life, and they're going to share their creativity stories with us. This is not an interview or a one-on-one. These are wonderful people who are going to share their creativity. How do they design their life, their businesses, how they walk and talk and cook and think, and do they have any hobbies, and what are their businesses like, and do they write books? What inspires them, their muses? So that's what we're going to do. And before I really get started, I want my guests to please raise your hand into the shape of the letter L. And we're going to say on the count of, there you go, Christine, take this very seriously, please. On the count of three, join me just at the same tempo, the same pace as I do. And we're going to say hello, L, L, L. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. A little too fast. Let's try it again. L, L, L. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Jordan, that was as close to perfect in sync LLL as we've had in years. Would you please put them on the top of the list for 2025 and even make it back retroactive to, I'll go back to 2021. Philip was on before and he probably remembers how that went. Here we go. It is the 13th of January. Where in the world is the year going? Seriously, it's going to be midway through the month this Wednesday. How did that happen? I thought we were just planning the holidays and New Year's, and that's already gone. 352 days remaining. This is the second Monday. Nobody really cares about that except me. I have, by the way, LLL was lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. And at 6:01 p.m. tonight, she will email me and she will tell me how wonderful my guests were. She'll say what Dr. Philip Agrios said. She'll give me a little book report, and Roxanne Howe-Murphy and Christine Schaffer. She will tell me everything, not everything you said, but a little synopsis, a little like she's taking notes, and she will tell me how much she loves the shows. It is sweet. She's the third in line of people who've been doing that for my shows. First was my mom, even into her 90s, would listen and she'd call me. We used to be on the evening at 8:01 p.m. and tell me what she loved about the show. Then it was my cousin Freddie, who was in his 90s in California. He would listen online. He would email me the review. And then when they both passed, Laura stepped up and took over. And I met her in a dance class, so step up is very important. There we go. So I have a little opening I would like to do here, and let's see how this goes. So listen up, and there's a section about each of you. So I want you to wave frantically for the viewing audience when I call your name. So here we go. Welcome to Read My Lips, where akaRadioRed shines bright, bringing cool conversations with creatives for your delight. In her Scarlett mic's live streaming glow, she opens the door for creative sparks to ignite and inspiration to soar. Today's episode, Optimism of Creativity, will brighten up your day with three vibrant creatives. You all have to be very vibrant, whose imaginations play. Passion and purpose help their brilliance unfold. They've discovered creativity's magic that makes their life bold. Here we go. Christine Schaffer dreamed of flying in a fighter jet's embrace, but turned to health sciences, carving a different space. From hunger in college to business success, her journey through hardships inspires and impresses. A doctor of pharmacy, she's a beacon of might, helping others transform with her wisdom and her light. Christine, I hope you like that.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
I'm glad. Come closer to your microphone. We want to hear you. Okay. And now we're going to go one seat around the table. Under Midwest skies where stars brightly gleam, Dr. Roxanne Howe-Murphy pondered life's human dream. Her yes to the unknown revealed a deep art with the Enneagram guiding transformation with her heart. A best-selling author and a coach, her path is clear to awaken true nature and lives held dear. I hope you like that, Rox.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. And now we're getting to Philip. Through trials of loss, health, and family despair, Dr. Philip Agrios met self-sabotage head on right there. His T Now method turns destructive traits away, freeing lives to thrive and embrace each better day. A healer, a teacher, an author with purpose high, Philip guides others to power their own unique why.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you.
I hope you like that. You're welcome.
Beautiful
Let me
words.
close now. Join me here, akaRadioRed, as we gather to see the optimism of creativity that shines us free. So gather round, lend us your eye if you're watching, and your ear as we dive into creativity with vision so clear. My roundtable is set today. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So what'd y'all think? Cool?
Oh,
Very cool.
just
Beautiful.
very cool. Yeah.
Thank you for
Wonderful.
taking that time.
I honor all my guests with I don't call them poetry. I just call them a rhyming, a summary, a highlights of the bios you all sent me. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed them. It makes me feel good to do this. I think I'm the only host in the world who does this. I do this on my technology show, and I have a couple of new shows that are on my own channels that where I have bios that are about 50 lines long for my guests. Those are one-on-one conversations, and they're extraordinarily long, but they're interesting, and they love them too. So, is anybody here an Aquarius, the 11th sign of the Western Zodiac? Oh, happy birthday. Aquarius until January 21st is the 11th sign, symbolized by the water bearer. It's an air sign along with Libra and Gemini, and Aquarians are unique, forward-thinking, and have humanitarian personalities. I think we know that. They're unconventional. They want to make the world a better place. People may not get to know them well, but they surround themselves with a variety of people, teamwork, collaboration, and the concept of the greater good. And past Aquarians were Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Edison, Galileo, Lincoln, and Magellan. And today, some famous, not as famous as my guests, of course, Oprah Winfrey, Shakira, Harry Styles, Alicia Keys, Kerry Washington, Justin Timberlake, Jennifer Aniston, Michael Jordan, Ashton Kutcher, Ellen DeGeneres, Laura Dern, Ed Sheeran, Christian Bale, Chris Rock, Megan Thee Stallion, Elijah Wood, and even Kelly Rowland. They're all Aquarians. So, Christine, I have to ask you, would you like to be an honorary Aquarian today to join the others? Wanna?
Absolutely.
Okay, I anoint you. You're an honorary Aquarian. There we go. Let's go around the table. I'm going to ask you each to give us a little more detail on your bio, please. I love the summaries. I know you did of what I presented, but there's a lot more in the dash between you start and you finish, Will. You're still going strong. So I'm going to put you on speaker view right now, Christine. Would you please honor us with about a 3-minute bio of everything you've ever done in your entire life that's creative? Okay. I don't know why I'm doing the Groucho voice today. It's just my mood. Okay, Christine, I'm putting you on speaker, and thank you so much for joining me. Go ahead, Christine.
Well, I'm very excited to be here. And in 3 minutes, this is going to be very interesting. But I am a true entrepreneur. If I can think it, I try to do it. And so I am the founder of Optimal Life. I am the co-founder of a national healthcare company that became very successful, and I was able to sell it. And what I do is I also inspire people. So through my whole life, because I've been in the sciences and in the health field, it takes a lot of inspiring to help people get well as to deal in business. So a lot of creativity goes on to be able to make your company be successful. There's no such thing as one shoe fits all. So no matter how creative you can be, that is how successful you can be. And in fact, I love what Albert Einstein said. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So when I think about that, I think about how can I do this? And so in my healthcare company, we had 4 other divisions within it, and there were 4 different companies. So I also did a fancy word is called Population Health Management, which is a disease company, which is national. I also had another company that was 340B, which was a federal company. And then I also wrote books. So I kept very busy because my mind's very busy. So the more you can think of, the more I would do. And that's kind of what creativity is about,
I
right?
love that. Christine, I have to ask, what led you, inspired you, what muse made you want to be a fighter pilot?
Well, I'm a type A personality. So I always
Oh,
want to go, go, go,
oh,
go, right? Yeah. So. So when you have that type of personality, I thought, okay, what do I want to do? And I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I did not want to be a cargo pilot. Are you kidding me? I wanted to get out there and go fast. If it was something I was going to bomb, I was going to hit it the first time. I was just really one of those type A personalities. And way back when I applied, they said women could only fly cargo. And that is what sealed my fate of going into the sciences.
very narrow-minded, I'll say that. You would have made one heck of a fighter pilot. Right, Philip and Roxanne? Oh my goodness gracious. Their loss, Christine. I'm glad you got to do what you're doing in your business, but their loss. We're not going to talk about it anymore, but I had to know. I thought that was very exciting that you put that. She says, so I turned to medicine. Okay, well, that was a logical choice. I can't fly a plane, so I'll go and be a pharmacist and have my health companies. Thank you, Christine. Let's move on to Roxanne. Roxanne, delighted to have you here. I love your hair color, by the way.
Oh.
Dan, I'm putting you on speaker view. Same thing. Take about 3 minutes and squish all. I want to know more about you, your background. Where do you come from?
Oh, absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, I started off on a small farm in the Midwest, and I being on this theme, this thread of something else is wanting to come forward, something else, and I just really kept feeling that my whole life. If you were to take a picture, and there's a frame around it. I typically wasn't in the middle of the picture where other people were. I was on the frame looking at new possibilities. And so that got me from, being on a farm to teaching, being at the university, developing new organizations, writing, teaching, giving retreats, really internationally. And I just feel so blessed to be able to do what I do. A little bit on the background, I started during my undergraduate years, I got involved in social justice work. In fact, I worked as a white girl growing up on a farm in the midst of a Black community, working with mostly Black adolescents on their very first job experience. And part of that was trying to find and create play areas for children who didn't have play areas in the community. And we cleaned up empty lots so that we could create our own playgrounds for kids. So that was, an example. And then I moved to San Diego and worked for United Cerebral Palsy and met the most amazing people in the disability community and created new programs that integrated people with disabilities and those without disabilities. So it was kind of at the beginning of what was called at the time the mainstreaming movement. And from there, I wrote my first book that started challenging our usual orientation to working with people in therapy and rehabilitation. And then I got my master's, and then I was asked to step in and teach at the university because a faculty member had gotten sick. And as a result of that, I started writing books. And then later on, my husband and I moved to Taos, New Mexico, and we started a food company, a gourmet food company. Had no background in it, but it was just okay. And so we created a new product line called Bisquickies. And then I found my passion with coaching, which took me to the Enneagram. And I became one of the first people to pioneer in integrating the Enneagram with coaching. And the orientation was not on putting people into categories. It was on helping them find the way out of the boxes that they didn't even know that they were in. So as a transformational body of work. And I've been teaching that, writing about it in my next book, which goes beyond the Enneagram and really addresses, a part of the inspiration for me is I know in my body that we're evolving people and we live and in an evolving evolutionary universe. And that keeps things open and flowing and free, and allows for the creative spirit to come through.
How lovely. How lovely. And the thing of all the wonderful enterprises and entrepreneurship you and your husband did, starting a gourmet food company and inventing a product that never existed, to me, is one of the most outrageous things you said. Because if you know anything about groceries, right, or about food marketing, the shelves are friggin' packed. And getting anybody to pay attention to anything, we're all hungry, of course. But anyway, remind us, what was the name of the product that you
It
created?
was called Sassy Soul Food, SOL. We were in Taos, New Mexico, and it had a painting on the center of a fanciful pig jumping over the Rio Grande Gorge by a famous folk artist. Actually, I mean, he was a classically trained artist, but he lived in Taos, and so he created this painting for us for Sassy Soul Food. So it was the cookies with a character.
Wow. You can send me some anytime. I'd love to sample them.
Well, I wish I could still bake them. I can't. When you go from one elevation to another, everything changes. You know?
See, that's why I tell people when I go to the summit, and there's another one in March. I think I go 3 times a year, 4 times a year. I tell them it's not about, are you a singer or dancer or an artist or photographer or a seamstress or whatever, or an architect. You're a real person and you've created a life. And you're creative here. You're all creators with a capital C in my world, because there's so many things that people at a certain point, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 90s, we've done so many things and had to figure it out. I didn't come with a handbook. As much as I love my parents, it was, well, you go to this school, you go to that school. But after a while, we're making decisions. And our mind, our heart, our brain, they're all putting us in places or in paths, and we're making choices. And so we are creating a life. And that's why I say to people, you're creative. I have people who come on the show and say they never thought they were creative before. They've never thought that they were a creative person, but they've done so many interesting things in their life. So thank you, Roxanne. That was lovely. Philip, he's back. I met you. I said, I know that good-looking guy. I got him back on my show. He said, hey, I want to come back. It was a meeting of the minds. Philip, delighted to have you, and I'm putting you on speaker view. Let's pretend you were never here before, and why don't you know? And hello, Dr. Philip Agrios. So nice to meet you. And I'm giving you 3 minutes to reintroduce yourself to my world. Philip, welcome back. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the invite here with these 2 brilliant ladies here. So I used to practice as a chiropractor and a functional medicine practitioner. My specialty was thyroid and autoimmune disease. And during my decades of working, back in the 80s, actually early 90s, I was able to discover a trait, a hidden trait that we're born with, that is the sole reason why we stop our success. And when I first found that, I was like, this is too simple. There's no way. So I went out to try to disprove it, because my reputation is very important to me. And over the last 33 years, researching thousands and thousands of people, were able to prove it, but found a way to switch it off instantly, and it works 100% of the time. So during those decades, I went through a lot of traumatic events, which I found was okay, because I was just being broken down to the ingredients that were deep down inside me in order for it to be released. And then I had to figure out in what precise order. I think, as Roxanne would know, that if you don't have the right order of the ingredients, you're going to have a lousy cookie, right? So during that process, I was able to discover this. So this trait, we call it the inborn sabotaging trait. It doesn't undermine you. It actually protects you from the very success that you seek, because subconsciously achieving and sustaining that success is more painful. So we go and do something different. So when you start to release your personal professional power and you hit that wall, your saboteur kicks in to protect you. That's it. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just protecting yourself. And when I found that self-sabotage was just self-protection. That's all it was. And when I realized that when you hit that wall, as you start to contract, this one trait, the one that you're born with, is the only reason why you're going into that protective state. And then using what we call the T-now method, the exact opposite, you must go into growth 100% of the time. So I started utilizing that with my chronically ill patients. We had very high success rates because we were able to determine why they were using their numbing agents like food, alcohol, eating, and whatever they were doing. And once we gave them the T-Now method, we saw two things happen. They lessened their numbing agents or they stopped them. And then I started, my patients who were business owners were making major breakthroughs in the business, and I never thought about using this in business. So I started getting referrals all around the world. I wrote my book, and I closed my practice 3 years ago to do this full time. So that's what I'm doing now, and just having fun. There's nothing like this in the world. And so I have this huge responsibility to get this out because I was given something that no one else has. So that's why I'm here. This is my why. And that's why I get up every morning and say, good morning, God, instead of good God, it's morning.
Well, that's a turn of phrase, isn't it? That's very, very interesting. Thank you. Thank you. You're all bringing something so special and important to the table here. I'm just a host who talks to smart people all day long. That's all I do. I don't know what I'm doing here. I haven't figured out my why yet, but well, maybe you'll all help me work on it. I'm on my 9th career, I think. Let's just suffice. I don't know if any of you know this, but I started out not knowing that I was an early woman in tech. I was a programmer analyst back in the Key Punch days, not a Key Punch entry person. I was coding 2,000 lines of COBOL on the weekends, key punching it Monday and having it running in production by 12 noon that day, running a major system for the Community College Division of the state of Oregon. Yes, New York girl goes to Oregon. So, and I was the opening speaker, the kickoff speaker on was it International Women's Day, March 8th, 2022, for the group called the Women in Big Data. And I showed them what a mainframe computer looks like. I showed them what a COBOL handbook looks like. I showed them what green bar paper looks like. I showed them what a core dump looked like. I showed them what a box of key punch cards looked like. And they said, what planet are you on? Anyway, they told me I was an early woman tech. So that's one of my backgrounds. But anyway, it has served me well over the years. Thank you for the bios. I really enjoyed. I will tell my audience, my global listeners and viewers, that when I meet these lovely people at the Publicity Summit, I am on a clock. There's a monitor in each breakout room. I go into approximately 17 breakout rooms, and I meet 2 or 3 or 4 people who are paid attendees at the summit, as these nice people are. I get exactly, I'm not kidding you, 2 minutes on the clock to hear their pitch, to respond and say, okay, great. You want to be on my show? To read a list of open dates, to say, are you available on January 13th? Yes. To say, give me your email, give me your phone number. Okay. And I'm writing notes while they're talking to me. And I booked 35 to 40 people in each session, which is about 3.5 hours. So I've only met these people, other than reading their information they sent me. I've only met them for basically 2 minutes on the clock. So I'm really getting to know you, and this is delightful. So let's go to your opening quotes. I asked you each to send a fictional quote from a movie or a TV show or a song lyric. I've done a little research. I won't read too much, but it's fun. And I'm going to ask you to spend about 3 minutes. We're doing very well on the clock. About 3 minutes telling us what it has to do with your creativity. So Christine has sent a quote from Jane, played by Angelina Jolie. You remind me a little bit of her. Doesn't she look a little bit like Angelina? Don't you think?
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Just the draw. Well, I think she'd be lucky to look like you. Let's leave it there. She's speaking to John Smith, played by Brad Pitt. The movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005 action comedy film. It's been redone many, many times. Directed by Doug Liman, written by Simon Kinberg, Brad Pitt and Angelina. They're a bored, upper middle class married couple who are surprised to learn they are assassins belonging to competing agencies. Bang! And they have been assigned to kill each other. Filming marked the beginning of their real life personal relationship. We know where that went. Romance, Marriage, and Children from 2005 to 2016. It was the 7th highest grossing film of 2005. And there was a TV show with Donald Glover and Maya Erskine on Amazon Prime that was loosely based on this, a little bit different there. So the quote, I had to look this up on YouTube and play it, and I took a screenshot because it was so wonderful. She says to him, you will get used to them. I have no idea what that means. What does this have to do with your personal journey, your creativity? Christine, go ahead.
Oh, I love it. I usually say you will learn to like it, because being an entrepreneur, when you put out new ideas, you put out new products, and people, because it is so new, they don't know if they like it or not. So I always told them, you will like it, because you don't realize how much it's going to make your life easier, how much you're going to be able to do certain research. Because I also did a little programming in my company. I did what do you call a large database for all of medical records. So wherever anybody went, no matter a hospital, doctor, pharmacy, emergency room, it all went into my database. And so with my disease management company, when I would take care of patients, it would all get organized into certain things so that we would know everything about the patient, know how to treat them right away. And so a lot of people, when it is so new, they don't know if they're going to like it. And I said, yes, you will like it.
Because you will get used to it.
You will get used to it. And that's really important. If you think about when we first had our iPhone, when we first had our computers, and how about when email came out? I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. And you know what? I love it. But how many people did not know if they were going to like it?
Very, 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 very good point. Absolutely. So many things. I was dating somebody years ago whose kids thought they would give him a real treat for his birthday. They bought him an iPhone. It was one of the first. He and I looked at it. We, as techie as I was, we pondered it. We looked at it. We read the instructions. We had no clue what to do with it. He gave it back. He said to them, "I don't, just give me a regular flip phone. I don't want the phone. I don't know what to do with it." So early adopters, that's a whole category, isn't it, Christine? Early adopters who are mindfully innovative in that they're willing to go and they want to buy Roxanne's cookie too. I know that. Absolutely. See, I'm the thread that links you all together.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Roxanne Howe-Murphy, I'm leaving the doctor off, but it's here. You have picked a quote from Mr. Potter, played by, oh my goodness, Lionel Barrymore, to George Bailey, played by Jimmy Stewart. The movie is It's a Wonderful Life, which a lot of people watched over Christmas, 1947, and they're calling it a supernatural drama film, produced and directed by Frank Capra, based on the short story and booklet, The Greatest Gift. I think Philip can appreciate that title. Self-published by Philip Van Doren Stern in 1943, loosely based on, here it all goes around and around, 1843, Charles Dickens' novella, A Christmas Carol. There we go. So I'm going to read this, and we're going to have you describe what it has to do with your life, Roxanne. Here's the quote. This is a very interesting situation. Roxanne, go.
Yeah. I love this quote. And you know, it was spoken with kind of a sinister quality when George Bailey said this, or George, whatever, said it to in the movie. But the truth is, you know, we are in an evolving universe. Life is full. I see life as really full of magic. It's messy. It has some really hard things for us individually, collectively. And there's also so many miracles, so much magic. And for me, just before the call, it was snowing here and the sun was coming out. And so I was looking for not the rainbow, but the snowbow. And I didn't see it, but you know, it's like, isn't that interesting? And what that quote does for me, that interesting, is it keeps it out of life, out of taking it for granted, you know, and we just often take things for granted. And if we were just a little bit more curious, a little bit more courageous, which I know are two of the themes of this show,
yes,
and just the themes in my life, then we take a few more risks. We start to look at life a little differently. We see more possibilities and opportunities. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think that there would be a Deep Living Lab. I wouldn't have written my books. I wouldn't be living the life that I'm living, because I am filled with gratitude. And I know why I'm here. I know that the work that I'm doing is the work that I've been gifted with and that nobody else is doing. So much like, you know, Philip. And I feel so blessed by that. And so that sense of gratitude integrated with interest and curiosity and being open to life's possibilities, and being open to other people and the amazing, you know, we just don't know what people go through, and to see them as real people rather than, a certain kind of behavior that we might judge. It's like, who is that? really, so that's really filled my whole life.
Thank you. It reminds me of the old phrase, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, right?
Yeah.
See what that feels like. And when you're talking about blessed and having the gift of what you do, Philip was nodding when you said, I know Philip understands this. Yes. So there's always a thread. There's always a link among my guests who may or may not remember each other from the summit, or maybe they weren't all from the same event where I met them. So I love the way this synchronicity or overlapping, no coincidences. No, we're supposed to be here talking about this. Philip has picked a classic quote. It is one of the favorites. It comes on my shows at least 2 times a year, and you're the first one in 2025 on all of my shows, and I love it. Dory, the Regal Blue Tang, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres. The movie, of course, is Finding Nemo, 2003. We're not going back to 47 like Roxanne did. 2003 animated comedy drama adventure film produced by Pixar for Walt Disney Pictures. Voices of Albert Brooks, Ellen DeGeneres, Alexander Gould, Willem Dafoe, Jeffrey Rush, an overprotective clownfish named Marlin, voiced by Brooks, along with a forgetful Regal Blue Tang named Dory, that's Ellen, search for his missing son Nemo, voiced by Gould. Along the way, Marlin learns to take risks. Aha, that's what we're talking about. And comes to term with Nemo taking care of himself, his son. So here's the quote, and I'm not going to sing it. I think there's a song with this, Philip, but it's just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Okay, Philip, I don't see any oars there. We're water wings. Go ahead and swim us through this one. How did you pick this one? Go ahead.
So my daughter had come over with my granddaughter, and we're watching Nemo, and that part came up because I haven't seen Nemo since my kids were little. And I was like, oh, it's really interesting. Just do what you do, just swim. And then you asked this question, and I was like, all right, obviously, this is the quote I have to give her. So how it relates to my life was when you're working on something and discovering something no one else has for 33 years, you have to be a resilient and SOB, you know what I'm saying? So you have to really get and move forward, and every obstacle that came my way, you can look at it as a problem, or it's just the way the universe or God or whatever is talking to you, right? It doesn't speak any English or Japanese or Spanish. It speaks experience. So you can sit there and go, what are you trying to explain? What benefit is this coming to me for at this moment in time, and just allowing it to flow? Like if you're going down that river and you know it's going to the ocean, that's where you want to be, then you just allow it. But if there's a boulder coming right at you, just don't sit back. You got to move and do whatever you got to do in order to bypass it. If it hits you, just say, okay, what can I do next time for this to not to occur again, and how can I make it better and better? So the swimming is just for those years consistently going, where even 5 years ago, I almost destroyed everything. I almost burned everything from the 90s and removed everything off my computer because I felt that I wasn't getting to where I wanted to be. I wasn't getting to the millions that I knew I'd get. Yeah, I hit a few thousand people, but my focus was millions. And I just felt, and a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in a while just happened to call me and talked me out of it. And then realized that was them saying, we have your back. It's just not time. Go forward, keep on moving forward. And that's why I used the quote.
Thank you. That was lovely. I don't have anything cute to say. That was serious. That was very heavy.
No, you don't take it so serious.
No, that's okay. Sometimes people do emerge in our lives, come through a door or a window, or I used to mentor some younger people I worked with, and I would say if there's a little light. I know Leonard Cohen wrote this in one of his songs. He passed away about 2 years ago. Wonderful writer and singer. And if there's a little bit of light, I say push that window open, slam that door open, just find a way to see what's on the other side, because it probably is something that you want to know about, or it's calling you. Nothing woo-woo there, but that little bit of light. I like to moderate events and host things, and I haven't had that opportunity other than my own shows. I got four different series now. Somebody found me on LinkedIn about 4 months ago, just found me. I had never met this person, never heard of her. And she plucked me out of thin air and said, I read your bio. It's for a company that has a press that publishes technology books, deep dive tech books. I used to work for the sister company of this company. I'll tell you all off air later. I don't want to mention them. And she said, we would love for you to moderate our brand new online training. It doesn't pay a lot and it's long hours, but I jumped at the chance and they've hired me for 4 courses. I've already done 2. Some of them are 4 to 5 to 6 hours at a time. I'm moderating the Q&A from the attendees who all paid to be there. And I'm helping facilitate the author of the book, who is the technical expert on this very, very involved technology, very involved apps that are being used in businesses all over the world. They've hired me for 2 more. So I get to meet the author. I get to help them with their mic checks before we go to the tech guy who's in Germany, who's running these production. And I am on screen off and on, but she found me. Now that door hadn't been opened in a long time. She actually found me, contacted me through messaging and said, I think you'd be perfect for this. And it's turned out very, very nicely. So sometimes, Philip, that's not as dramatic as the examples you were giving, but sometimes that you just see a little bit of light and you don't say, oh, no, leave me alone. I don't do that anymore. You say, heck yes, let's talk. So there you go. Always looking for new opportunities. Thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. Now you see how they work. So I'm going to, this isn't a pop quiz, but it's probably not what you've expected. You each very graciously sent me 4 statements, some very long, some very short. Philip was on the short side, and Christine sent me a novel for each one on your creativity. Oh, that's fine, the creativity. I'm going to pick one from each of you. I will read it a little bit for Christine. Philip, I think yours were 1 sentences. I'll read those. I'm going to pick one for each of you and ask you to just unpack it and tell us a little bit more. So Christine sent a lot of interesting ones. When you're creative, it doesn't matter what others think. Creativity is a luxury of being you. Creativity is about having no limits. But I'm going to go to number 4, and I thought this was interesting. So take just about 2.5, 3 minutes because we still have a lot to cover. So Christine's number 4 says, creativity is being brave with your imagination. She bought a house in a nice neighborhood. The house was in ruin. It went into foreclosure. Previous owners wanted to have an auction, make a little money, get out of here. Everything was for sale, even the speakers in the movie room, the lamps. I'm liking this house already. When she saw it, she fell in love with it. She used all her money from the sale of her house to buy it. She had no idea what she got herself into. Okay, let's hear a little bit about your creativity in rehab. Christine, what'd you do? Talk to me.
Well, sometimes with our creativity, we don't want to close it down, right? So all I did was concentrate on the creativity. I did not concentrate on any type of problems. Could I afford everything that needed to be done? I figured that if I just went with my creativity, what needed to be done, the money would be there. Don't ask me. It's like blind, but there's so many things in my life that I've done when I've moved forward. And I just felt that this was the right place to be at the right time. And when I looked at the house and I got a contractor and I said, please knock this wall out, please put this ceiling up, because where you said the theater, there was actually no ceiling because they took out the speakers. And I couldn't get insurance because they said, no, the ceiling isn't totally sealed. And I still said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. Everything is going to work out perfectly, because I will not allow myself to think any other way. And when you think that way, you totally open your mind up to what the possibilities are. And that's how you solve your problems. So I said, okay, 1 room at a time, we're going to do it. And we did. We went through 1 room at a time, no matter what it was. And part of that is being, how creative can I be with what I have? That's a big question. And I always told myself that I can. I never wanted to put myself in a box and feel like, you know what, I have to have this standard kitchen, or I had to have this standard. I thought, no, I have this house for a reason, and I'm going to make it to who I am. And so I became creative with my finances, with the contractor I work with, and what I wanted. And you know what? It all worked out.
I
Mhm.
love it. I took what was the formal dining. I bought this house 2 years and 3 months ago on Zoom. I had never set foot in the state of
Oh,
Tennessee. I went house shopping online, and when I drove up, I arrived in Tennessee the night before the closing. When the neighbors had the key to let me in before the night before the closing, and when I drove up, I said, "Oh my God, what did I do?" It was lovely, but more property, more everything than I could tell from the pictures. I got a good deal. It was okay. I could afford it. But the point was, I took what was the formal dining room, which is far, it's down the hall from the kitchen. I don't know how people walked with plates and everything, down a hall. It was a short hallway, but you're still leaving the kitchen. Anyway, the point was, I put my mother passed in 2017. I took her baby grand piano, which I learned classical piano on when I was 7 to 13 years old. I put her baby grand. I keep hauling that darn thing around. Nobody wants to buy it. You can't give it away today. It's a 1953 Krakauer. It's a gorgeous baby with carved
Mhm.
legs and everything. I put that in there, and I'm a drummer now. I put my drum kit in front of it, so there's no more formal dining room. Then I took the sunroom where they had a little round table, no heat, no air conditioning, windows on both sides. It was attached to the house, Christine. It was an add-on, okay? I made it an art studio. I took my mother's old dining room table, put one of the leaves in. You remember what tables with the
oh
leaves? You
yes.
could
Oh
have
yes.
12, 15,000 people for Thanksgiving or Hanukkah, Christmas. I put that out there with a piece of glass from a table I used to own that broke. The bottoms broke, and there was a piece of glass that's so thick two people can barely hold it. I put that on top, and I brought all my paintings, all my art, all my canvases. I put a drafting table in there, and I set up an art studio. So talk about do what you want with your damn house because it's yours. Figure it out,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Except when you have purple laundry rooms and you go to sell your house in Durham and your realtor says, I love you, but you got to get rid of that purple paint. Nobody's going to buy your house. And too bad about the red backsplash. I wasn't going to change that in the kitchen. There we go. Thank you. Lovely, Christine. I'm looking at Roxanne's statement number 2 here. This is interesting. This is going to surprise the other two, I think. She says, creativity for me is a trust walk. When I can be open and flexible, I feel more prepared to engage with what shows up in life. We're talking about that. I experience the interconnectedness of life more easily. My intuition plays an important role in creativity. Here's the example. I love walking on an odd shaped labyrinth, or labyrinth, as people might say, that I designed to accommodate the boundaries of our property. Christine, this is a thread with what you just talked about. Okay, Roxanne, what does the labyrinth look like? How big is it, and how did you create it? Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's on the far end of our property, and we're kind of on a ridge. And so the ridge goes down, there's trees around it, and there's a tree in the middle on the side. And so we just started gathering stones through our walks in the mountains, and I pick up stones. I love stones. I love rocks, and they were beautiful. And so I actually looked at uh, a graphic of labyrinths, and I love walking labyrinths anyway. But this one, I said, well, it can't be round, so it's oblong because that's the shape of the property, and that's where the trees are. And I created a 5-ring labyrinth, and in the middle, I said, okay, I need the right stone for the center. And I looked, we studied, we went around to various places, and there it was. And so there's a stone that is taller than I am. And when it goes into the ground, it's still taller than I am. And when I walk that, and I touch it, I embrace it. It's like it speaks to me, and then I just look at the surrounding environment. It's such a incredible place for opening and receiving and letting go and appreciating, and it becomes part of my spiritual work. It's not that long of a walk to do a 5 circuit, but it is part of my spiritual work. And I had always wanted a labyrinth, and different places where I've lived is like, can't be. But here it was. I said, we'll make it happen. And there were resources. Christine's talking about, well, what do you have available? Work with what you have available. And so that's what I did. And we had to, trim trees back a little bit, and people that come and visit us and I say, can we walk this? Oh my gosh, yes. And so sometimes there's like 3 or 4 people walking it at the same time, which
Lovely.
is a really lovely experience.
And how generous of you to let other people experience it. That's
Oh,
very
well,
nice. Very nice.
it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be
I'm
shared.
glad you put that in your statements because I would have wanted to know about that. Philip sent such brief ones. I'm combining 3, Philip. So there's my creativity. So here we go. Philip says, I find I do my best work early in the morning when it's just me, the quiet and the dark. That's number 1. Then he says, my creativity gets a boost sometimes when I ask, what will make this possible? Starting at the end and reverse engineering the process. And here's the one I really want you to talk about. My creativity gets inspired listening to the 3-hour study music on YouTube. Take 3 minutes for this because we have more to cover and we are at 10 minutes left. Go ahead, Philip. What is this 3-hour study music and what about thinking in the dark and re-engineering? I like that a lot. Go.
So there are different types. Have you seen where there's 3 and 6 hour study or deep focus or
No,
yeah,
I
if you
don't know
just go
anything
on
about it.
YouTube and you can put, study music or deep focus, whatever, there's just beautiful music that to me taps into my creativity. So if I'm stuck, I put that on, I just close my eyes and I go, okay, what do you have? And knowing that I'm just this tool that comes down and downloads, that's how I wrote my book. I wrote my book in 2 weeks and it just downloaded. So by looking at it, and this is what I teach my clients, is that envision what you want. If you can really envision what you want and then reverse engineer of how you, and to the point of where you are at present day. And then this gives you an idea of how much work could be involved in what you want, and are you willing to pay the price? And if you're procrastinating or you're not moving forward in the way you want to, one of the things is you can just say, basically, what will this, what could be possible by me continue forward? What can I make possible with this? Will I be impacting more people? Am I going to make this? Am I going to do whatever the case may be? So by looking at it and asking different questions, and then if you're hitting that procrastination, a great sentence would is, why am I protecting myself at this moment? The only reason why you're not moving forward, because at that moment you're uncomfortable, you're stressed, you're out of your flow because you're just in protection. So why am I protecting myself? Is this something in the past? Is it something now? Is it something, a story that I make up of myself? And the dark and the quiet is where I get most of my inspiration. And so, yeah, it's just more solitude and just kind of go within, because everything's within. It's up to you what you want to tap into and show the world.
Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the creativity statements. I asked for 4 because if you sent me one and it wasn't something that I felt would add to the conversation, I'd be stuck. Even on my technology show, I have my guests send me 4 predictions each, and I pick 1 or 2 per and go around the table. So now I have some interesting, and just this is a lovely conversation. I have some interesting factoids that may or may not matter to you at all, but I'm going to fill some time here. So January 13th, I have some events that may pique your memory, or you may be interested or not. Anybody remember the song Duke, Duke, Duke,
Oh,
Duke
yeah.
Girl? Okay, 1962, on this day, January 13th, Gene Chandler released that song, Duke, Duke, Duke. We can all sing that one. In 1963, the next year, a pre-famous Bob Dylan, and this is interesting because of the new movie with Timothée Chalamet playing Bob Dylan that's taking the theaters by storm. A pre-famous Bob Dylan appeared in a British TV play, The Madhouse on Castle Street. He played an itinerant musician. I didn't know he acted. No recording exists of it, but he supposedly played Blowin' in the Wind, which was the first broadcast of the song. I thought that was very, very interesting. You will appreciate this, all of you. In 1968, at the University of Florida Audio Lab, a Dr. K. C. Pollack, Pollack, reported that tests have determined that rock and roll concerts can cause noise damage in teenagers' ears. I thought you'd love that. That was 68. In 1970, on this day, exactly on this day, John Lennon and Yoko Ono had their haircut. And they donated it to charity auction. Philip, you knew I was going somewhere with it. No, you actually didn't. I saw that look. In 1973, Carly Simon's album, No Secrets, featuring the hit single, You're So Vain, hit #1. That was 1973. In 1970, the same day, Oh, this is interesting. I don't know if I should read this one. Eric Clapton returned to the stage after 18 months of a drug-induced depression. He played the first of two all-star shows at the Rainbow Theatre in London, and he performed on Layla. We all know and love that song. It features Pete Townsend from The Who, Stevie Winwood, Capaldi, Gretsch, and Rebop Kwaku Ba of Traffic, and Ronnie Winwood of Faces were all on the recording. On this day in 78, Elvis Presley's cover of My Way, I didn't know he did that, was certified gold. On this day in 1978, the same day, the Police, the band, started recording their debut album, Outlandos d'Amour, with a budget of £1,500. They had to borrow the money from the drummer's brother, Stuart Copeland's brother, who was an executive named Miles Copeland III. He was an entertainment exec. They had to borrow the money for their first recording. On this day in 79, the YMCA, the organization, filed a defamation lawsuit against the Village People. Why? They thought YMCA, I promise not to sing, but I'm sorry. They later dropped the lawsuit. They thought it was defaming the organization. They dropped it because as the unofficial commercial jingle, it made a huge boost in the popularity of the Y. It was so popular that the U.S. Navy recruited the Village People, said, could you do the same for us with a song? I thought that was interesting. And on this date, 3 years ago today, Baby Shark, da-da-da-da-da. It became the first video on YouTube to reach, are you ready for this? 10 billion views. Baby Shark, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, famous birthday. Say happy birthday to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. You know who she is from Seinfeld, Christine Campbell on the CBS series New Adventures of Old Christine. She played Selena Meyer on HBO's Veep. She's 64. She's growing up. Oh, my goodness gracious. Shonda Rhimes, one of my favorite screenwriters. I watched Scandal. I'm not a Grey's Anatomy fan. She's 55 today, nominated for multiple Emmys, and she won a Golden Globe for her work on Grey's Anatomy. Liam Hemsworth. Be Still My Heart. He played Gale Hawthorne, Gale, in the Hunger Games film series. I didn't remember, but he married Miley Cyrus, and they separated, then they married, then they got together. Anyway, his brothers are actors too. Patrick Dempsey, Mr. Dreamy, Mr. McDreamy from Dr. Derek Shepherd from Grey's Anatomy. I never watched it, but I thought he was cute. Orlando Bloom is 48 today. He played Legolas in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films. Trade Atkins, country singer. He topped the Billboard charts more than 20 times with songs like Ladies Love Country Boys. I'm not a follower, so there you go. Okay, we have 3 social media. I've got 3 minutes. This is good. On social media, a gentleman named Mehdi Sadagar, Sadaghar, is 48 today. Why am I telling you that? Are you ready? Roxanne, you sitting down? 1.2 billion views. He has a channel on YouTube called Electro Boom, BOOM in caps. He's an engineer. Philip, he's an electrical engineer, and he does hilariously painful tutorials of electric experiments. He has a BA from the University of Tehran in 1999, a Master of Applied Science from another university, and he has over 1 billion views of his electrical. I'm just telling you, we're in the wrong business here. We have a YouTube. We have a comedian named Rifty, Rifty, who's 27. He only has 3.2 million subscribers. I feel so sorry for him. He has gameplay and funny moments. Then on TikTok, we have the twins, Haley and Hannah Cavender. They are 24 today. They have only 4.5 million subscribers. What can I tell you? What did they do? They played high school basketball together, and they are college basketball teammates at Fresno State, and they do dance videos from the locker room at Fresno, Christina. That was very creative. And then we have a model named Lori Harvey. She's 28. She has almost 5 million followers. Do you know why? Because she's Steve Harvey's stepdaughter.
Oh.
Okay, there you go. It's the holidays today are Make Your Dream Come True today. National Catherine Day and Kathleen Day. If you know anybody, just tell them happy day. It's not their birthday. Clean Your Desk Day. Philip, that's for you. Peach Melba Day. Rubber Ducky Day. Mine are in the master bath here. Sticker Day. Poetry Break Day. I've dropped out of my poetry group after 2 years because people were doing sad poetry, and I don't want to do sad stuff. I want to do funny poetry. And Public Broadcasting, Public Radio Day. January is the month of apples, apricots, artichokes, and asparagus. Hot tea. I have mine here. Meat, They didn't say what kind. Oatmeal, a prune breakfast, we'll pass on that. Wheat bread, soup, slow cooking, veganuary, dry January, and a bread making machine. And it's also the month of be kind to your servers, food servers in restaurants. Get organized month, clean up your computer month. Philip, they're talking to you. International brain teaser and creativity month. Learn to ski and snowboard month, hobby and mail order gardening month, National Polka month. I used to, but not anymore. It's too energetic for me. Skating month, train your dog month, and walk your dog month, and that's it. Okay. In 2014, I used to close my show with the top 10 tips for women, and I saved my notes. See, Philip, I didn't throw them out. And the number one tip was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. I just wanted you to know that's 10 years ago. Okay, here's my closing, and don't go away. I have one more minute. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Kiss slowly. Yes. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me, everybody. 1, 2, 3. You were controlling yourself. And never, ever, ever regret anything that made you smile. Here we go. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in high heels in a cafeteria in high school to 250 people, they watched. Sing like nobody's listening. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart grow back. Regenerate. Learn to love again. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La! And last but not least, I stole this line. Thank you for turning me on. I'm going to play the outro music as I choke here. Let's get this going here. If I can.
Red invites you to eavesdrop on her
Listen up,
live,
and Jordan's going to
unscripted
close us out.
conversations with
Don't
smart,
go away, guest.
savvy, creative people as
Talk
she
too much.
discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration, when creativity first became their passion, and how their creative
Dance with me.
process can inspire the rest of us to think out of the box.
Out of the box.
Enjoy akaRadioRed's always lively, cool
Always lively, cool conversations with
on the
creatives.
Voice America Empowerment Channel.
There we go.
Oh,
How those lips can talk. Thank you. And we're going to stop the live streaming by LinkedIn, by Facebook, by YouTube. Okay. And we're going to stop the recording.